Well, hello again. This is my channel where I examine the yes or no, both sides, answers to some big questions. This particular video is an update to a previous video I did about obesity. I called that one, "Is It Okay to Be Obese?" And I've put a link to that video in the notes below. Well, although I do deal with both sides of the question, this one, I'm afraid, is pretty lopsided because it discusses the impact on the NHS, on the National Health Service, of obesity. It's enormous. Well, there is one contrary view, a side of the question that says, well, it's not so bad. And let's examine that one. In quite an elegantly prepared paper, one researcher argues that the financial impact certainly is limited, owing principally to the fact that the obese die a lot earlier than the rest of the population. In fact, being obese takes about 12 years off your life. That, to me, would seem to be a pretty good motivation right there to take a firm hand and deal with it as firmly as one can. But in any case, the argument goes, it's quite an elaborate calculation, that because people die earlier, they're in the NHS for fewer years and therefore save a lot of money. And in fact, most of the calculations actually relate to saved state pensions, so I'm not sure I totally agree with the calculations, but nonetheless, the whole idea is that, well, the billions that are claimed for the cost to the NHS of obesity actually overstates the case. And that's really the end of the argument for the it's not so bad side. On the other side of the argument, i.e. that the impact on the NHS is enormous, the arguments are pretty straightforward and almost don't need restating, but anyway, here are some of them. To begin with, the cost of treating obesity itself is very high. Surgery is offered to reduce obesity on the part of people who can't manage to reduce any other way. And also, there is a very substantial impact on the body of obesity, which leads to many other important and lethal diseases. In fact, almost all of the diseases that are the main causes of death. Obesity is very often implicated in cases of coronary heart disease, stroke, some infectious diseases, and a number of cancers. So the impact, therefore, not only on health but on the cost of trying to preserve it in the NHS is just enormous. Secondly, there's a second-order effect of obesity on the NHS during the coronavirus problem, because so many of those who have run into very serious difficulties when infected with the coronavirus have been obese. They, in effect, are crowding others out of the ability for surgery and very important treatment, all of which has been delayed, in some cases canceled because of the coronavirus. Many of those people obviously have died in the process of waiting for their treatment. So there is that effect on the rest of the world. Furthermore, along the same lines, because in most cases they say that in the final month of life, about a third or half of all the NHS resources are expended. And a very high percentage of those people who are consuming those resources at the end of life are themselves obese, even a higher percentage than the percentage of obese in the population. So there's quite an unpleasant community effect of obesity. And finally, by one estimate, 3 out of 4 adults in Britain will be obese by the year 2035. I would rather imagine it's at least that in the States. That's simply catastrophic, not only in terms of a diminution in the health and quality of life of the individuals themselves involved, but the implications for the National Health Service are just too awful to contemplate. Well, so what's my take on all of this? Well, I must say I'm sometimes kind of even-handed in dealing with issues like that I deal with in this series, but not this one. I'm afraid there just isn't any justification for claiming that the impact on the NHS is limited and that it's okay to be obese. It's a terrible public health problem, probably the worst of any that we face, and therefore the priority in dealing with it has got to be higher than almost any other health issue that we face. So there it is. It's a sad set of circumstances, but one that really has to be addressed, underlined, and shouted from the rooftops. It simply isn't going to go away unless draconian measures are taken. Well, you may not have liked some of you hearing this, but I think the facts speak for themselves, and they are incontrovertible. So, I hope you got something out of my video. Maybe you enjoyed it, maybe you didn't, but if you did, please give me a like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you with the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.